Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome back to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. We are here on another Thursday chatting sex.
I was going to say round two, casual sex with Lisa and Robyn. And Johnny. We got a threesome going this morning.
We do have a threesome this morning. Johnny is in the studio. He picked a perfect day to visit us.
See, look how open we are. How far we've come.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got Johnny on the wrong thing. Here we go. Thank you, Johnny.
No problem.
So I have a question really quick. So do you think a one-night stand is still the same thing as casual sex?
No.
Definitely.
No, I don't.
No. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
what about a hookup or a booty call? Isn't that the same
there's
thing?
one night stand means that it was you met, you did it, and it's over.
Yeah, like your flight got
You
delayed.
can
you're
have
sitting at the
casual
bar, had a
sex with
couple
your
drinks.
boyfriend, girlfriend. You can have a quickie in the morning.
That's true.
Best way to start your day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cup of coffee and a cup of wife.
So all right, so when I just looked up, when I looked up the internet, so I'm gonna go just down a quick really list. I want to hear both of you what your thoughts are. Okay. So what they said, what considered as casual sex? I don't think one night stand. I think casual sex is something like is more of your mindset. Like, yeah, I know I'm not gonna go anywhere with that. Like a one night stand could kind of be in it, but it's more like the opportunity presents itself. Because a casual sex, you're kind of out looking for it. Like, say your flight got delayed. You're sitting at the bar, airport. You know,
See,
you had a
I was
couple of
think-
Mai Tais, and then, this other guy sitting over there, he's got, like, his gin and tonic, he's got a whiskey, and, you strike up a conversation, and you're like, well, I'm here all night. Well, me too.
Okay, so I was thinking of casual sex as no
Let's get it on.
relationship associated
Johnny,
with
that's
it.
where
I
you're
was
supposed to
thinking of
start
it that
singing,
way.
Let's Get It On.
Yeah, I was doing that in my head going, I've had those experiences. It's not good.
All right, sorry, what were you saying? We were, like, just lost in that. We were both at the airport.
I was thinking that casual sex meant that there
Here's
was no
my
relationship.
runway.
Sorry, you try that one more time.
I was thinking casual sex meant that there was no relationship.
Right.
Like it was just going to be for the purpose of sex and not having any kind of emotional connectivity. That was the way I was viewing.
Well, yeah,
Casual
but so, like,
sex.
so the internet said, like, one night stand. I think that's different. But, all right, so what about swinging?
Wow.
Look at me
Do
shaking
you
my head
think
no.
swinging is casual sex? See, I think that's intentional.
I think it's a disaster.
It's true. Yeah, and because
Well,
how do you
it
know?
all
You got to
depends
get
on who you talk to. Now,
What, for
I mean,
swinging?
you said because there's couples who that's what they're into, and I think that they've created an environment and their own relationship and their own mental space where without that, then they may or may not be successful as a couple. And which leads me into what you said we're going to talk about this hour, a male perspective pornography. I think it's synonymous with swinging. I would venture to say, and as I knew that I was going to come on with you guys today, the last few minutes I just read a couple of things just to refresh my memory. But there's been so many studies done with pornography as it relates to long-term relationships in the United States and around the world, but they were focused on the United States. And some of the truths that have come out of these studies are yes, men who have an appetite and consume pornography, then typically substitute their current partner, if you will, their wife, their girlfriend, whoever it is, for someone that they've seen online in that pornography. They have a fantasy. Here's the problem with that. When that's over, you roll back over, and in the morning you see that person back in the bed. You then begin to have a negative view of that person because that person is not that fantasy.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, I thought her eyebrows were bigger.
I wasn't thinking. I was not thinking the eyebrows.
I was just trying
being
to keep
honest.
it PG.
Yeah. Well, that's why they always said, "Well, just put a bag over her head."
See, I
But,
don't.
Well,
I would think they're substituting the act of masturbating for the act of intimacy because.
Well, that was the next comment.
Okay.
They've now substituted a real woman for a mental or a fantastical woman, which has its own following. They do this pornographic anime.
Okay.
Where everything in this anime is so overly
Artificial.
depicted.
Yeah.
So like women with quad Z size bosoms, you know,
Right.
and all this over the top stuff. Complete exaggeration of all of it. But they watch this and then they become turned on. And then the third thing from a male perspective is just like with cigarettes, just like with any drug, which sex and the dopamine, it's a drug. You need more and more and more of it to satisfy the base need.
Yes.
So you start watching the porn and that creates that dopamine response, masturbation and all the things that happen. And then when you go to have a real
interaction.
Let's
the
use the
dopamine,
word-
You don't have the dopamine
Let's
rush.
use the science word since we're being scientific, copulation.
Yes.
And let's just do that. Then at that point, many people don't orgasm. Even women who watch pornography then may or may
Yes.
not orgasm because you did say men always orgasm. That's not always the truth because of the porn.
Sure.
The porn has caused much erectile dysfunction from a mental perspective. There's things that Viagra can't fix.
Well, I also heard, and I don't know if that's true or not, but like the more that a man can that masturbates, the harder sometimes it is to have feeling in a intercourse.
Really?
That's what I
Absolutely.
heard. That it's harder for them to have because they need to have that same stimulation in order for that to occur.
They need a rough hand,
Right? Yank it.
not a soft one.
I think it's the pressure.
A hard tug.
Oh, the pressure.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And the vigorousness.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can I tell a funny story that's related to nothing?
It should all be
Yes.
funny because it should all be laughter and light and very open, like we're having this discussion.
yes.
This is healthy. This is the way it should be.
It's real stuff that people think about all the time.
And not to quote another great movie, The Revenge of the Nerds. But as he said when he was having his way with that lady in the moon room, nerds think about it all day. And I am a nerd. Just so everyone knows. You can call in
true.
816-1590 right here and talk to me. That's right.
Dude, I dig nerds, man. I love nerds. Love them.
Well, property manager, an owner was going into a building and there was someone masturbating in the laundry room.
For real?
For real.
Wow.
And when he called to tell me, he was horrified. He was like, I am never going to unsee this now that I've seen it, right? So he's telling me, and I'm laughing because I said, thank God you were there instead of me, because it could have been me going to do a thing and walking in that laundry room. And now he can have that visual that I don't have. And he said, but Lisa, it was vigorously. And I go, there's no other way. Is there another way?
He's gonna dislocate his shoulder.
And so I did get him to laugh because he was horrified, because that was a bad experience.
Dude, if that would have been me, I'd have been in there like waka waka waka.
And I said, just think
I would have just to see if he'd stop.
You put another quarter in the dryer and say, maybe this will help.
Wait. Yes, or just walk by and leave a quarter on the top of the mailbox.
Let me turn this on high and ultra spin.
Oh
you
my
know?
God! So just thinking of that. The other night we watched Due Date. Have you seen Due Date?
Yes.
With Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
and Zach Galifianakis, whatever. I love him. I told Chris, I'm like, Zach is my spirit animal. I swear to God. I'm like, we could be in a room together and he and I would never have a conversation. We could just start a sentence. He'd be like, I got you. I know what you're talking about. We think the same.
So when he was masturbating in the car
In the
before
car.
bed.
That's what it reminded me of when you're talking about that. He's like,
So when I do think one of the things that probably the reason why pornography is such a problem is because the access isn't obstacled. growing up, you had to go to a store or a crazy movie theater, or like there was some barrier to you getting what you needed. And now,
Well, you had to actively pursue it. Now it's at your fingertips. That's like like he's talking about, the thrill of the hunt.
right. And so you're not even having, there's no barrier. You can do it 24 hours a day. There's apparently no end to it. I saw an interview with a woman who's trying to shut down Pornhub because they're, with all this user uploaded pornography, there are rapes and child pedophile things that are going on, and it is actually a criminal enterprise. And there's Pornhub is making $1 billion off of your
Right.
attack, for example. So, your rape. They're making money, and they won't take it down because it's user uploaded, and there's no like gatekeeper to it anymore.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it used to be that when there used to be the creepy director and the guy with the porno mustache and the lady,
Yeah.
and they have their tests and they do this thing and they go to a house and then
Orgasmo and Chota Boy, right? Right? Remember that?
I don't remember
That's a crazy movie.
so then, but there was a gatekeeper, and it was, there was an industry
Something to
and,
regulate it to being like.
and
so
now
that's-
it's this user uploaded, and it's dark quick, it's deviant quick.
Yeah.
It's a real problem. And so she wrote this book, and if you get a chance, if you watch a Jordan Peterson and you look up Pornhub, he interviews this woman, and it's really crazy to think that something that someone thinks is so innocent, like watching porn in their house, is part of this bigger abusive system.
Well, you think about it too. Like when you're watching. That's somebody's mother. That's somebody's daughter. It's somebody's child. It's somebody's sister. Somebody's aunt. Because we
Uncle, brother,
right, cousin.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think that they think that when they're watching it.
It doesn't. So that's why, like, you plant the seed, and it's like, ooh, I'm just so sorry I ruined that for you.
Well, I have no need for it. But
Well, no, not you, but I'm just
I
saying. like,
understand,
funny.
but I agree with the fingertips, and so what's so funny is I don't know who was talking one time. We were mentioning this, and we sat there for hours staring at a snowy cable channel on
Yes.
like 97 or 69 or whatever it was, and we would just turn it to whatever it was, and we were just hoping within 3 hours we'd see a boob.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'd see one, and we'd be like, "Victory!"
Yes.
You know,
Oh
and
my gosh, in
you'd run out of the
elementary
house.
school.
You run out of the house on the street. I saw a boob. And I mean, and all the boys on the street were doing the same thing.
But the truth of the matter is,
And the girls were too.
the girls were too, because I remember in our elementary school, I still remember where the back room is. It had the metal door with a lock on it, and it would have all the National Geographic books back there, and we'd all want to go in there so we could just go see a boob. I think everybody loves boobs.
Whether it was from Uganda or not.
Yes.
Right.
So I
Her lip had like one of those big old metal
Correct,
things
with a
down
big-
hang down to her
Yeah,
ankles.
with
we
a
didn't
big
care
bone.
about that.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Yes.
That's not what we were focused on.
It didn't matter that their ankles were broken, and so they were like, U-shaped to be bound so they'd be a size 2 when they're 30. We didn't care about any of
We
that.
weren't looking at any of that.
No.
But I think so. It's not to say that pornography or that type of thing, that curiosity about the sexual experience and where you fit in it isn't a normal part of it, but this unlimited amount that doesn't. I don't know how much it's serving us or the next generation. I don't know how much. Do they understand desire? Because desire, yes, desire, sexual energy,
So
but
here's
desire for your
here's what I
life.
think.
Desire is the impetus to make you do anything. It is
Yes.
the energy that
Yes.
moves you.
Yes.
So, does sex? I'm asking. Does sex feel great when you look at a picture? All right, I'm gonna go meet this person. I'm gonna have sex with them. Like, where is the?
It comes out
wanting
like
and the
more of a
desire.
functionality. But I also read too that the kids now are having less casual sex than they were before.
They're having less
But I
sex
also-
in general.
But I think that the dating app is like they were actually getting into where kids are being raised where they have no interaction. They don't know what it is like, being the cheerleader and going to being at recess in wearing the cheerleading outfit. Like what we used to do it on game days. Hell yeah, we were wearing our cheerleading outfits because we had the little bloomers with the little black star under it. We were the Bruins, and like, dude, you just wanted to show off your star. So like, you knew the guys were looking at your butt. Like, they have totally missed that. Like he's saying, going to the dance and totally missing. Like, our kids are coming up in a generation where sometimes the only option is like they've been trained is like how you meet somebody is only online.
But they're saying in Japan there's a growing number of 30-year-olds that have never had sex with another person. Virgins are 30.
Wow.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
And we have to kind of get in our Scooby-Doo time machine and kind of go back a little bit. Love it. Yeah. So, hey, Velma. Okay, so back when we were growing up, our dopamine was based on Miss Pac-Man, video games, hanging out with our friends, playing outside, playing the football in the backyard with the boys, and then the girls would come over and shout out to Susan Meyer, who lived back on Adrian Court. How you doing, honey? You can tackle me anytime you want. She was still great. I still remember all these girls. It's amazing,
Yeah.
And that was very casual, just with her, just so you know. That was exploratory.
Yes.
We were learning from each other. She was the Encyclopedia Sextanica to me. It was wonderful. She was like 6 years older than me. So she taught me a lot. She was my Dr. Ruth.
She's the expert.
She was great.
She was my sexual expert.
She was wonderful. But anyway, so we didn't have these opportunities. We didn't have the constant TikTok. We didn't have the Instagram and all these things that the kids have right there. We didn't have a mobile phone. We had the G.I. Joe handheld walkie-talkie set, which barely worked.
And you didn't drive. So we were so limited in access, like, because where are you going to go find it? Unless you can get a ride to the public library, because our schools didn't have those kinds of books.
Yeah, but from the ripe age of 4, we're starting to put an iPad in a baby's hand.
Yeah.
Let me. I need like 2 minutes to finish this because I knew I was going to say this because I study this stuff. We are now exposing people to large amounts of self-gratification through video games, through YouTube. My son, who's 25 now, he was 5 years old, 6 years old. He had access to YouTube. I mean, the millions of videos that he's watched, the stupid stuff that they do, that's still pleasure. He's still laughing. He's still doing those things. And it's a progression. So, he started to watch more and more rougher type of anime, more, all those things. We had G.I. Joe and the Smurfs and more innocent.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have that large amount of dopamine rush. We didn't, and now everything's sexual. I mean, when you think about it, we were appalled at the first Hardee's commercial, if you remember that, where they had the girl sitting on the car and the car was on fire and the big old burger and it was just and the drip and the juice was dripping down her and she was in a bikini and it was just like, put your mouth on some hot stuff. I'm just like, what an ad.
Yes, sex sells.
At that point, that's like, wow, and now you look at it, most people aren't even phased because we've become so desensitized.
Yes, I was going to say desensitized.
So as we approach teenage years, so what are we doing now? We're on Grand Theft Auto at the age of 14, 13 years old. What do they have in Grand Theft Auto for these kids to play? They have a strip club.
Oh,
you get points to hook up with a hooker.
Yes.
On the game as a 13-year-old. What's that teaching?
Yeah.
So that's teaching degrading of women. It's also teaching that it's okay to do stuff like that. So they experience that. Then they have the strip club scene in the game for the kids. So they go into there and they and you have a lot of money, you can pay the girls money and they dance for you and all those things. So they have so many avenues of getting that thrill or that momentary instantaneous gratification.
Yeah.
And that's what they're into because they want it right now. Boom. Why do you think they like Monster, Rockstar, and all that? Because they get that instant jolt.
Yeah.
That energy, that great little blast. so they can get to the next great little blast.
And aren't they so disappointed by regular life?
Yeah, and that was my. And so now they're teenagers. Now they're coming out of adolescence into adulthood. Unfortunately, the world doesn't have that. The world runs out of instant gratification sources. Unless you have gazillions of dollars, and
because you're always trying to one up now.
You have to, and that was going to be my last point. Is you're always having to add more to it.
Yes.
At some point, you run out of add-ons.
Because your dopamine, because it's no longer feeding you anymore.
And I explained this a couple of months ago. I was actually giving a talk, and I said, life's experiences and life's enjoyment and life's thrills are like a salad bar at the Golden Corral. If you know what a Golden Corral is, a big, huge buffet.
Yeah, they got a big salad bar.
Eventually,
Not like
they have lots of toppings, but eventually, you've had them all. You've had them all more than once. You've had every dressing. You've had every combination, and at some point, you're like, "Is that it?"
Yeah.
And then what happens at that zenith of your pleasure palace, if you want to call it that? It's only downhill from there because you can't find any subjects to give to your system. So what is your body? You start having pain, disappointment, anger, resentment, and all the bad things come in because you don't have a mechanism to appease it.
Yeah.
So Japanese people, the work is too hard to find a mate, whether it's a female to a male to a male, female to female, whatever it is. You can go to the internet, have that same instant gratification, that relief of the physical pain that you may feel from having sexual frustration and pent up whatever, instead of going out there whining and dining or trying to find somebody. It's better with just go on YouTube, log in, do what you got to do, put another quarter in the dryer at the laundromat,
right.
at the property manager's place, at the apartment, and then that's over. You satisfy that need, and now I can get back to playing whatever it is online. And I did not have to give any of myself, and I didn't have to work for it.
Right.
So once again, we're seeing the complete erosion of society where we're not willing to work for anything.
Well, so I
Right.
wrote it down, like talking about doing like one night stands and things like that. But we're talking about porn. We're talking about porn. Like everything that we're talking about, I think the way to sum it up is we're diluting the power of intimacy. So we're actually robbing ourselves of intimacy, of the experience of intimacy.
And intimacy requires effort on both parts.
Yes, but also so intimacy is two parts. You experience the feeling of intimacy from what it takes from inside of being intimate, but also receiving intimacy. So I feel like it's complex. I don't know if I was saying it right.
So
but
there's a quote that says, the heart has reasons that reason doesn't understand.
right.
So, putting your mind around what your heart wants.
But you're
Can't always
taking
make
yourself
sense.
out of it more, so you're robbing yourself of that intimate experience between two people. You're also robbing each other or the experience of having what true intimacy is. Because I think having a quote-unquote perfect relationship and in achieving intimacy is probably, to me, I would like to think that that's the highest dopamine rush that you can have.
Yes.
Because then there's nothing that's prohibited to you.
So they
But
say
it's
that
safe.
that self-gratification doesn't give the same dopamine and oxytocin that actual physical real connection
Right.
does. And it couldn't possibly, because it's missing half
Right.
of the equation. So when you're constantly working, when you're not working towards the intimacy, the connection, the dual fulfillment, right? What we've been
Right.
talking about with all these kids is self-fulfillment. Great that you know how to please yourself. I had a friend's son who was always really
But that's not where the
comfortable with
magic
me.
happens.
Yeah, he
Right,
said to
Johnny?
me, one of the girls, I like girls. We're talking about girls things, and he's like, I have a question about sex, and I'm like, oh, maybe you don't tell me, and he says, how do I make a girl feel good? And I said, do you know how to make yourself feel good? And he said, yes. I go, well, you have to try to make her feel like that. And every girl's different. I can't give you,
right.
You've got to work it out. You've got to try. You've got to learn.
And that's where I think where the beauty and the magic happens. Is we're learning in your action.
In the making somebody else fulfilled.
Yes.
You know what it's going to take to make yourself fulfilled.
Right.
That's not the goal.
And to me, I feel like that's where part of the fun and the little, maybe kinky is not the word, but it's that.
That's a good word.
It is a good word. I like that word. But that's where the vulnerability comes in, and I think that's where the reward comes in, is that fulfillment. And for so long, we've deprived ourselves of anything other than self-gratification. That we've deprived ourselves of this feeling. I'm trying to think of like a euphoria, or of what it is to be vulnerable. We are robbing ourselves of what true intimacy looks like.
Yeah, and I think that because we are missing true intimacy, we are trying. It's a void and a hole that we keep constantly shoving other things in besides intimacy, and we get further and further from the
that's
truth.
an adrenaline rush to put yourself out there. And actually thinking about like that guy is saying, like, how do I please a woman like that? Think about how nervous it is when he's actually going to do it to that woman, like the things that he's thought about. Think about the dopamine rush and like just the chemistry that's going on inside of your body, thinking about doing that to another person. And then now you have this shared experience that's powerful. And that's why I feel like we've diluted the power of intimacy. We've robbed ourselves of that.
Well, you have to experience it. You can't watch it. And I think part of this, we are watching everything on our screens. Our faces are in our phones. We are disconnected. We are just, we're not even an active participant.
But when you even say like with porn, and then now you take that into the bedroom of what you've watched, you're duplicating, you're not experiencing.
But you're not even doing it right, because what looks
you're mimicking.
Good on, what looks good on camera does not necessarily feel good.
Right. Right.
Just because, the running joke, okay, yeah, your leg is over there in the bathroom and your other leg is over there in the bedroom,
right.
Or, whatever you like, whatever that, we're trying to remove
and
the
not
human
everybody's
body.
Not everybody's heels get past their ears,
and it doesn't feel good when I'm there all the time. Let's just say that what looks good.
Can't hold that position for 6 minutes.
High heels look fantastic. High heels look sexy. They look amazing. They don't always feel good.
Right, Johnny. How does it feel when they poke you in the back?
I can't stand it.
I know. So see, it's really overrated. Truth of the matter, it looks sexy, but it's really overrated sometimes.
But the point on like
Johnny is going to say so.
I know, I see him.
He's like, no, put those heels on. I'll take the pain.
Well, but if you actually think about something else, and I love this conversation because it's so relevant to today. Women used to want to go and buy lingerie and all that stuff, and so many people, that whole burlesque.
I love burlesque.
Well, that whole anticipation, that's all missing now.
Yeah,
because we've become a society of get it quick, get it fast.
Yes,
get it cheap.
Right,
fast McDonald's of sex.
You've eliminated
the
seduction
movie,
and the dance.
Yeah, in the movie Idiocracy.
Yes.
Okay, what a great film. I hope we don't get there, but Starbucks became the sex place. So I mean, I'm gonna go get me a latte, like he says. So that's sort of what it's become. The Japanese are perfect because they are so overwhelmed with technology in Japan. I mean, they have implants now. They put things in their eyeballs so they can like watch the internet from their eyes. And I'm just saying, so sex becomes like
perfunctory almost.
And I thought about an analogy for it. If you're hungry, and we'll use hunger as just any type of need or desire that you have. Yeah, a kind bar or any type of healthy quick snack will alleviate that briefly. But that's not to be a substitute for the whole meal you're supposed to have with all of the nice, wonderful, healthy foods.
Yeah, it's just like McDonald's may taste good in the moment, but it doesn't feel good afterwards.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So is casual sex have a place?
Yeah.
Yes. Every now and then you
Yes.
just need a quick little snack.
Yes. Yes.
But that doesn't substitute for the overall, I chased you, we're together, we're
Making a
breathing at
homemade
the same
meal.
time.
Yeah.
going through the drive-through.
I'm talking butter.
Like, dude, it's cool to
and
go
mashed
through.
potatoes
Yes.
and meatloaf and all of it, and then with cream on top
Thinking
of
about
you
a
have no
room-tempered
idea.
ribeye
Yeah.
with some shrimp, some
That's food porn.
asparagus. Yes.
Mm.
But I
Homemade,
think-
homemade
And
sourdough
I think that's
bread.
why so
With
many
hollandaise
people,
sauce.
Yes. Crusty little
so I think
garlic
that's
oil.
why so many people eat in a way because they're constantly trying to be fulfilled.
Yes.
And they're trying to be satisfied. Imagine, think of eating food that leaves you unsatisfied. If you really want a bag of chips and you eat carrots, you're still unsatisfied.
Yes.
You're missing the fat or something, whatever
Yes.
it is. It's this constant, like you talked about seduction, this dance. You talked about, lingerie and all of
Yeah.
this other stuff. If we don't have the desire, and if we don't seduce someone or if we're not seduced, I think there is a missing element that the reason why people joke around about married sex is you put it on the calendar or you'll never have it, right?
Right.
So you're losing, that's where it's like, well, do you want me? There's a great show called Big Little Lies, and she says, thank you for today the sex was great. It was really good. You really wanted me. And he says, I always want you. She says, no, you always want to have sex. Today you wanted me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a difference.
Well,
That's
you just
casual
summarized
sex.
the whole show. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been nice listening to.
Now I don't need
that's
to
the-
watch. No, but
The person you're having sex with all the time, your spouse, you're in a long-term relationship, they want to be wanted.
yes,
They want to be
everybody wants to be
needed.
wanted.
You want-
Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. And I don't think that having a monogamous relationship doesn't have to be bland and vanilla. I think it's what you put into it. But before we talked about, Johnny, at the break, we talked about rejection. And what was it that you said? It's okay. We don't teach
It's
them.
practice for later.
Practice, yes. We were going back, but you had said something about, and I do want to talk about casual sex is like, we've been taught forever that it's not okay. I mean, we go into these interactions thinking like we're going to hook up with this person and this is going to be my future. We're going to be with them together forever. It's not. I do think that you have to try before you buy. I think you have to experiment to find out what it is truly what you want. And if part of casual sex is part of that, you have to know if you have to have chemistry.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, men are so scared of being labeled as a failure. It's, I even go back to something kind of stupid, the Stormy Daniels testimony in the Donald Trump trial. She sat up there on the stand and said, "Yeah, he was this, he was awful. No, nobody wants to hear that. We're so afraid of that. But, you may not be awful. You just might be awful together.
Right.
Because, I've always said
Our pheromones don't mix.
well, not even pheromones. Sometimes the angles of the bodies, the way that everybody
line up.
has different shape, don't line up properly.
That's true.
And unfortunately, we don't have the ability medically normally to realign that whole area. So sometimes people are 45 degrees or 90 degrees. The hips just don't line up right. And so therefore then you don't get the same sensations. And so you could say, well, that was awful. Well, what wasn't really awful, it just wasn't the right fit.
Right.
Just like
Right.
I love to wear a certain type of shoe. You can go to the same size shoe and the same style of shoe, but you have to try it on.
Oh, yes.
And try it before you buy it,
Yes.
kind of thing. Because I bought 9 different brands of pants, but only 3 of them were going to fit me right, even though they're all labeled the same size.
Yes.
Because sometimes the inseam's a little bit longer in some, and all those kinds
Some
of
are
things.
just poorly made.
Well,
Some are-
it's so I've been looking for curtains, and I'm like, Chris is like, why don't you just buy them online? And I'm like, no, because I want them, but the thing is, I want to be able to. I hate the fact that it shows you on the picture. I want to feel the fabric. I want it to be a linen blend. I want it to be a specific color. I want to feel the texture of it. I don't want to go and spend $300 and I don't know what the color is in the texture, the way it's going to lay. You know, it always looks different online. So you can even take that into porn, all that stuff. Real life. I want a real life experience. I don't want to buy my curtains from that. It's the same way you do everything.
I think this constant. I think there's something happening in which we're taking men out of evolution. That's what I'm panicked about. I'm panicked about this.
I think we're taking the human right. We're like killing.
Maybe
the
we
human
are
race.
doing the human race
Well,
out of maybe.
That could be. This could be.
It's actually there's a whole science study around it, and it's called, and y'all can look it up if you want, it's called the decarnality of mankind.
Believe it.
Huge studies about this.
Dude, I just listened to a podcast.
It's like biologists.
Yes.
Okay.
What we have an animal brain. We have the ability to use our top brain, or our thinking part of our brain, but we still have that brain that's underneath there, the primal brain. If you know, I don't want to use all the medical words, but the primal brain, the one that controls fear, anger, desire, hunger, you know, all those things, the same things that make us animals.
Yes.
We have drugs. It all started with Prozac, SSRIs, all those things to keep that thing beat down. Mm-hmm. And the more we beat it down, it goes back to, you don't use it, you lose it. Our animal brains are getting smaller. The hormone balance in our body, our cortisol is through the roof because we're stressed. We weren't made to be that way. We were made to have cortisol come out for only one reason: when a tiger was about to bite us.
Right.
And the adrenaline came to us when the tiger was going to bite us, so we could run away, we could flee, we could do those things, and then it would come back down. Now we all live in such a state of inflammation, a state of panic, a state of worry, and what's our answer? Oh, here's a pill for that. Instead of solving the problem.
Yeah.
And we have so many guardrails, like you said, bumpers and rules on about everything. So we are decarnalizing ourselves. You know, it's not okay to eat meat. Well, we've been eating meat before we even knew what vegetables were.
And they're showing that protein is so vital. Protein is the food that feeds your brain.
Absolutely.
And your muscles.
And fat too.
Yes, fat.
The brain burns ketones, which only come from fat metabolism.
Yes.
So we're making ourselves not be humans. I'm not.
And we're also, look at what we're doing for reproducing, for pushing mankind forward. They talked about the COVID, and they talked about those, I can't remember the cells that reside in women's ovaries. And now in like the OBGYN I was talking to the other day, she's talking about how like where our infertility problems, and because we're flooding and getting our hormones all messed up before all of that, but not even that. I was listening to a podcast that Joe Rogan was on. They're talking about, do you know that Planned Parenthood is the #1 distributor for testosterone hormone suppression in children? Or hormone suppression. Planned Parenthood is the #1 provider of that. And so they're taking adolescents and saying, no, you might want to be a guy, you want to be a girl, we'll suppress your hormones for you. And so, you know, look, over time,
You'll be infertile.
Yes, we're growing infertility. And how are we going to push our human race forward?
We can't. And the worry is, if we stay on the same trajectory that we're on, especially with sperm counts of 2 generations, 3 generations post the current one.
Yes.
You're seeing it's dramatic, and it's almost an exponential curve down. And so could we achieve a point where men are so infertile that we don't produce enough sperm to repopulate the world? That might be good. And there's going to be people say, oh, great, we need the world population to come down. Yes, but at some point, the species would go extinct if we can't reproduce.
Well,
Right.
just think of the last group of people. So in Japan, the reason why Japan was a world power and then it wasn't a world power was they didn't have replacement births. So now you have people living to 100. Great. You're living to 100. But the 30-year-olds behind you, there's not enough 30-year-olds to equal the number of 100-year-olds. So who's doing all the work? Not the 100-year-old, the 30-year-old. Who's paying for everything? Not the 100-year-old,
Right.
the 30-year-old. That 30-year-old becomes so taxed taking care of a generation larger than it.
Right.
And then what kind of life do the 60, 70, and 80-year-olds have? There's no plumbers because this 30-year-old doesn't want to plumb. They want
Right.
to do technology.
Right.
You start making this inverse.
It's like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have shamed our culture. You know,
And some
so
of
if I
that
if I
did need to
came to you,
happen. Some of
if I
that
came
did
to
need
you
to
right now, we're friends, but I could say this. But if I didn't know you and I just say, well, Chris may come beat me up. But if I just said, hey, man, I would really like to see you with stars on your butt.
I'd say, let's get it on.
I know you would. Okay, you're a poor example for me to use, but many
I'd say
women.
not today,
but
Johnny. I'm
women,
commando.
Many. I
I can show you
digress
my
again, but we've
never
come
gonna get
to the
this
point
comment
where
out.
that would be reported.
What if I showed him my boob?
No.
It's not National Geographic hour. Let me get you a bone for your nose.
Oh, wait, that's at 11.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's at 12.
Yeah, but typically that would be reported. We've gone. I mean, the
Yes.
slightest thing can be now sexual harassment. And you talked about men earlier. Decarnality of humankind again, in the fact that we're not. It's become now bad for even men to have that natural feeling. You see some hot woman at work, you can't even say, "Wow, you look great today," because she could run to HR and he took
Right.
a pass at me.
Right.
And all I was acknowledging was that your whole being today looks radiant.
Yes.
Unfortunately, where I was brought up, it would have been a good thing. That was
Yes.
the same as if you give a woman some roses and say, "You're so beautiful."
Yes.
You know, this is my outward trivial manifestation of what I feel for you.
And not everything has to be sexual.
Right.
If when I tell you look nice, I'm not telling you in a sexual capacity.
I am. No.
I don't mind.
but
I have lost a lot of weight.
right.
So.
I told you I offered to show you my boob.
Yeah.
Well, more do you want, Johnny? I'm in. We're casual.
The show
I
is
love
degrading.
Thursdays.
No, I do. The other day we were talking. Where were we the other day? And I was like, dude, we were at your house, and I was like, your ass is banging.
All that rollerblading.
I'm like, dude, look at how tight that ass is, man. I mean, she is. I mean, she has a great ass. But John, yes, John and Chris were standing there like, what
is going on?
what's going on? Hey, it's definitely they were like,
I don't think you're allowed to say
is
that
something
anymore.
happening? Are they going to get at it?
No, I think they were like,
What are you
I don't
doing?
think you can say that anymore.
But to watch both of them just react, like I would say that to her in an empty room. But I didn't even actually think about them being there. But it wasn't until I saw their reactions, they were like, whoa, wait,
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that anymore.
but that's the fear.
yes.
It's ingrained in us that we can't say
So I
we're
think
not
I
allowed
have
to
a
be.
solution.
We can't flirt. We can't.
See, and I
See-
think that's charming.
Yeah,
Practice
that's what I was gonna say.
flirtation, because there's so much harmless, telling jokes to the cashier or talking to
If we bring charming back, if we start being more charming, then flirting comes back. And I think that I love to flirt. See, I think casual sex. I think another place of having sex is it's the good energy.
Mhm.
Because I think that we're all sexual creatures. I think we all have different amounts of sex or tapped into different amounts of our sexual energy, but we use it in all the ways. And I think being charming is sexual energy. And so if we stop focusing on flirting, but being more charming.
Yeah, and I think the charm comes into being around a person so that they feel better about themselves when you've left. Not that they like you more,
Right.
That they like themselves more.
Or they just feel good. So I said to Chris, we could change the world. Do you know if we could get people to set an intention every single day with it that I am going to make somebody smile today. And if your mission becomes making more people smile, the bank teller, the lady at, pushing the wall, any interaction that you have, if you go into that interaction thinking like, you know what, I'm going to leave a smile, your whole energy changes. And then their energy changes.
I do that at Market Basket.
I do too. I love to flirt. I love to
there
play.
is a fine looking, and she's like
Judy,
our age. No, her name's not Judy, but she's always there.
Robyn thought she knew her.
And she's pleasant. She's nice. She always puts her makeup. Her hair's done perfectly. All that, and I'm drawn to it, so that I will stand in the longest line if her cash register just to say hello, and we've got away from that.
Yes.
It's just like on the movie Whiplash. That guy says, I really don't like the popcorn, but I love just coming to buy it from you, because he kept today that person be labeled, you're a stalker.
Right.
Yeah.
You've taken something that was innocent,
yes,
and now you've applied a
yes,
negative connotation
yes,
to it. Now, therefore, I can't be a hungry like the wolf man because you have told me that if you come any closer, I'm going to shoot you.
Right.
And you can't do that in the workplace.
Well,
and I have a problem with that with the work. Yeah, yes, I agree. I'm not talking about just going up and groping somebody,
yes,
but I'm talking about, two single people in the workplace. Where do you spend a lot of your time in the workplace? What's wrong with that stuff? Yeah, I'm okay with not fraternizing with subordinates and things like that, but
yeah, that's a power thing more than anything else.
Right, but we've lost that. So if you think about it, you want to change the world with Chris? I know he's out there. He's like one of the best public speaking, motivational people I've ever talked to. That conversation I had on the phone, I still remember it almost word for word. It was great.
You guys should jump on a podcast.
But you know what? We should go back and say, all you 14 through 21-year-old, get ready. We're going to teach you how to be men again.
Yeah.
And how to be respectful men. But women like a man to be a man.
But see,
because
I
in
think
their
there's a
in-
lot
yeah.
of so that could goes into a thing. The whole rise of the feminine move. The
Me too.
yes, but you know what? We've lost that. We've lost femininity. We've ended up there's
Because
so
we've
many
become masculine.
There's so many women. It's true. That's what I was going to say. There's so many women. So we all have masculine and feminine energy inside of us, and I think we reside best in our own energy. And I think so. I said it before. What if women are supposed to be the protectors of the spiritual world, spiritual energy? And men are protectors of the physical world. They have the strength, they have the brawn, they have the skills that we do. But yet when women are saying, I want my rights and I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this, they are operating so much more in their masculine energy that now we've done that for so long, we forget what it's like to have female energy, to have that
seduced.
softness, and to be able to be that it feels good, that you actually want that strong masculine energy flirting with you and being charming with you. We've gotten so freaking hypersensitive, like we forget to be in our own role. Like, no, so I want to bring back masculine and feminine energy. I want to bring back being charming, and the more people that can wake up and say, like, you know what, I'm going to set an intention today to make the lady at the checkout counter smile.
But then what you're talking about is desire, because desire is what is the impetus that moves us forward in our life. It moves us towards what our goals are.
Yes.
It moves us towards other people. I like your energy. I want to be around you. I don't like your energy. I don't want to be around you. We need the building blocks of all of the things to have the life that we want.
Yes.
And without desire, how do you know what you want? Now you're just eating anything. But I want McDonald's
But we
fries.
haven't listened to desire in a long time, I feel like. And as far as a sexual space, like that's where we're
Even
like
your
the whole
soul's
porn
space.
and all. Yes. Yeah. But we've spent so much time trying to fight to achieve something that we actually don't even know who we are. And that's like, let's focus more on who we are, who we want to be, and stop taking the no out of it. Like, yes, I wouldn't go out and say, yes, go have casual sex with everybody. But yes, I think you should try before you buy. And I think that you shouldn't go into every interaction thinking like, well, this is the one.
And if you're in a long-term relationship, make your spouse feel wanted.
Yes.
Make your spouse feel desirable.
Yes. Dude, I'm telling you, some of the best sex I ever had came after my 40s. And being in a relationship, like, I never could have imagined it. Even with being exposed to porn and raunchy stuff, and feeling like I could do anything I want. I could do anything I want. But I'm telling you, some of the best sex has come in a committed relationship where there is vulnerability, and where is there masculine and feminine, and
because you get all the raunchy bits and the intimacy.
But you're working to create desire. The desire is there, so you're working to enhance the desire. Like, you actually have experienced like the dopamine rush of what it is to be intimate, and now you want to okay, let's up that, because that feels good, instead of being self-gratifying.
So I absolutely love the movie Stranger Than Fiction. Will Ferrell is an IRS agent, and he falls in love with the woman he's auditing, and she hates him because he's auditing her, and he's an IRS agent, and he goes up to her, and she's a baker, so he brings her flowers, like baking flowers, and he walks up to it, and he says to her, "I want you," and she's like, "What?" He's like, "I want you." She goes, "All right, do you want to come upstairs?" He's like, "I don't know. I only got to I want you. I don't know how this works from here." So they're upstairs, and he plays her a song. When I was a young boy, my mama said to me, "There's only one girl for you, and she lives in Tahiti. I searched the whole wide world for you." And then they start making out, and he calls her Miss Pascal. Miss Pascal, and she goes, "I know. I want you too." That has to be the sweetest, sexiest little scene to be. I want you. I came over here. I want you. And to be wanted. Like, I just think if we could put down the phones, and if young people can stop being so obsessed with the availability of sex on a phone, and you went out and felt and were wanted and wanted others, you could wake yourself up. You could wake yourself up.
Suppose the only tool that you had in your tool belt to getting a mate was yourself, your being. No phone, nothing. It has to be a physical interaction.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Me too. But look how many young generations have no clue what that's like.
They just turn it into
and remember,
deer in the headlights.
There's power in a sticky note.
Yes.
Hey, baby, have a great day. And hide that in her purse or whatever. And when she sees that, it's getting on tonight.
Even better when you put a Snickers with it. I just say.
That's right.
Thank you for listening to another Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM 95.3 FM. Until next Thursday at 10 a.m. Thank you, Johnny Anchors, for joining in this wonderful conversation. We hope to see you next week.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is holding his final news conference at the State Department. He's been closely involved in Gaza ceasefire talks, which appear to have hit a snag. ABC's Jordana Miller is in Jerusalem.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accusing Hamas of reneging on parts of the deal after it was announced Wednesday by the U.S. and others. Hamas denying that, but Israeli negotiators still in Doha trying to resolve the dispute. And until that happens, Netanyahu says he won't put the ceasefire deal to a government vote for approval.
More hearings for President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees, all of whom appear to be headed toward confirmation. The American Cancer Society says cancer deaths have gone down in the United States, but women under the age of 65 are now being diagnosed more than men in the same age group. Longtime Milwaukee Brewers Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Uecker has died. He was 90. A statement from the Brewers says, "We are heartbroken." This is ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Whether you're shopping along 101A, working out at one of the many boutique gyms or studios in the area, or simply enjoying a nice day out with the kids, you need healthy fuel to keep you going. Look no further than Clean Juice Nashua, your local neighborhood juice bar. Hi, I'm Mary Beth Fiango, owner of Clean Juice. We are located at 2 Cellu Drive in Nashua. Clean Juice is